Since its debut on the PlayStation 2 in 2004, the Monster Hunter series has become known for its steep learning curve and high difficulty, and while that didn't stop it from thriving over the years in Japan, the same can't be said about its fate in the West, where it only gained the attention of a relatively small crowd. Now, in 2018, Capcom is looking to turn things around with the release of Monster Hunter World. Not only does it simplify the traditional Monster Hunter formula, but it's skipping over handhelds and moving to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The reason? To widen its appeal to a general audience. When we heard those intentions back at E3 2017, it was easy to fear the worst. Series veterans understand Monster Hunter to be the type of series that you could succeed in so long as you're willing to put in the work. As such, an attempt to bastardize the series formula to accommodate players who weren't willing to do so could only serve to piss off Monster Hunter veterans and end in disaster, right? As it turns out, this is not the case. At its core, Monster Hunter World is as genuine a Monster Hunter title as it gets, featuring the many mechanics and complexities that earned it the undying love of its fanbase. Yet, Capcom has managed to take many of those mechanics and complexities and streamline them, making them easier to understand and the game itself more accessible. Regardless of your skill level, many of these changes will be more than welcome. In fact, series veterans will likely question why it took so long for Capcom to implement them. There are many such quality of life improvements, but the three that stuck out the most are the ones made to gathering, crafting, and quests. In the past, gathering used to be an arduous process, not only requiring players to have specific items to collect certain materials, but you would have to sit through an animation every time you wanted to do so. This is a thing of the past. Now, not only do you no longer need these items clogging up your inventory, but the actual collection process is instantaneous. These changes go hand in hand with those made to crafting, as you can now select certain items for the game to automatically make for you, provided you have the right ingredients. Making potions mid-fight used to be something that required finesse. In World, all you have to do is find an herb, and the game will do the rest. Completing quests also used to be a similarly odd process, since you only completed one at a time and were then sent back to town immediately afterwards. This has also been undone. Aside from story quests and side quests, which are now referred to as assigned quests and investigations, respectively, there are now bonus missions called Bounties, which you can always have active and can be completed at any time. As an added bonus, completing the former types of quests no longer automatically sends you back to town, allowing players to choose between staying in the current location and picking up additional quests or going on an expedition in free roam. Or you can return to Astera, your base of operations, to craft new gear, resupply, level your character, and other progression elements. And though these improvements do make for a more accessible Monster Hunter title, World still isn't easy. As previously stated, Monster Hunter World is a genuine Monster Hunter game through and through, and it plays host to a plethora of monsters who are more than willing to smack you around should you become complacent. Towering above them all is the massive magma-encrusted Zora Magdaros, who provides the prime impetus for your journey. As an Elder Dragon, Zora is in the midst of a once-in-a-decade migratory period known as the Elder Crossing, where it crosses the sea towards a newly discovered continent known as the New World. Your goal? Capture it and find out the meaning behind its movements. It's a rather tenuous setting, sure, but that has never been the series' strong point. No one plays Monster Hunter for the story, after all. Its focal points have been and always will be its environments and monsters, and Monster Hunter World earns high marks in both. To call the environments in Monster Hunter World a marvel would be an understatement. They're large, imperfect, diverse, vibrant, and asymmetrical. From the ancient forest creeping vines and massive intertwining branches to the rotten vales, fetid pools of acid, and seemingly endless corpses, each location is unique, possessing an aesthetic and ambiance which differs from the rest. We're not dealing with monotone, manufactured environments here. Between the differing terrain, flora, and fauna, these areas in Monster Hunter World feel like a genuine ecosystem. And lurking within each of these, there are massive monsters who stand at the top of the food chain, leaving you with the unenviable position of having to face off against them with little more than your weapon and a small yet deadly cat known as a palico to back you up. Each monster, from the moment you set eyes upon it from a distance to when you capture or kill it, is unique, thanks to its appearance and the many ways it can tear you limb from limb. While these monsters do differ in appearance and attack patterns and abilities, all are fully capable of killing you if given the opportunity. Fights in Monster Hunter World evoke a unique mix of anxiety and excitement, where you're painfully aware that even one mistake can lead to your undoing. Every move you make, every step you take is a deliberate action done to ensure that you don't add to your opponent's tally of kills. If you're consistently doing the right things, the monster will respond appropriately. Targeting the forearms will break its claws, for example. Jumping on its back will cause it to frantically struggle in a bid to knock you off. Attacking its tail will dismember it. Hitting the legs will cause it to topple over. If there's a way to interact with a monster, it will have a special way of showing it. Keep it up and monsters will eventually reveal a tell, limping, to show that it's weakened. At that point, all you have to do is follow it and seal the deal by either killing it in its weakened state or capturing it. Of course, you're not going into these fights empty-handed. You'll have 14 different weapon types to choose from, each with their own set of strengths and weaknesses. Some are straightforward, like the Great Sword, which is particularly effective when you charge it up and let loose a super-powered strike for high damage. But others, like the Insect Glaive, with its air dashes and Kinsect companion, require a bit more finesse to use properly. With so many weapons to choose from, some might be inclined to try and use them all. Every weapon is viable, but it's best to head to the practice area and familiarize yourself with one weapon before branching out to others. And if you're having trouble taking out an enemy on your own, you can also use the new Sos Flare to summon other players for help. Once you do, your room will automatically be available to join, and other players can choose to respond or not. Players can also form squads or join other people in the hunt. All in all, there are plenty of ways to take enemies down, whether by yourself or with a group, but it's up to you to figure out how to make it happen. Monster Hunter World just makes it easier to do. If you were thinking that Monster Hunter World would be dumbed down to appeal to a broader audience, that didn't happen. Capcom managed to capture the essence of a Monster Hunter game for consoles that entices newcomers without repulsing longtime fans, with only a handful of gripes here in the lack of areas and amount of monsters. Monster Hunter World is otherwise a must-play for fans of the series, and for those that haven't played one, it's a great place to start.